Our fifth score is from Christian, and it's really not eccentric, but it's sort of atypical. I'm trying to find the right word. It's offbeat. That would be in a really good way. There are a lot of things that need fixing here, but it still, it still has some great ideas, and I just really enjoyed looking at it, and I've got some really positive things to say about this, along with a few bits of advice on how the mock-up works, and a little bit on layout and so on, and assigning dynamics. So, so with that little introduction, let's go right into our reading and listening to Christian's mock-up. So that was quite a potent sounding bass clarinet. So when you are recording your mock-ups, Christian, just really listen for instruments that might be way out of balance and try to adjust them in the mix. And there's a lot that you can do, as you're probably noticing as you hear me comment on some of the mock-ups of previous scores up to this point. Just, there are a lot of things that you can do in terms of balancing your arrangement so it sounds good in a mock-up, not just good in your head or good with the players. And I don't want to obsess over making mock-ups sound good or bad. It's just that I feel that mock-ups are really important in terms of being able to pass along demos. Nice sounding demos for like choreographers and film directors and people like that. So, mock-ups are becoming more important just on their own. Okay, so let's start off with the beginning. Now, did you notice that despite the fact that you've got cellos and violas divisi here, both playing the melody and elements of the accompaniment and harmony, that the you could still barely hear them. Okay, now the reason for that is that in a situation like this, you really should have your brass marked down, right? So this should be pianissimo, right? Because you might have noticed there was almost like a plodding feeling here with this tuba line. I mean, it's a great idea, right? But it's just the tuba needs to be marked down to pianissimo. And then you'll notice, both from your mock-up and just from thinking about it in your head, that this will just be way more balanced, right? It will be balanced in the way that the instruments will have the same feeling of projection, right? It's not going to be a background texture at all. It's still going to be intermingled with the strings, but the strings, you'll be able to hear the strings more. Now, It's interesting that you really are putting everything on the middle strings here, everything onto viola and high cello, and it's going to feel very dark. It's not murky, but just like it's going to have a beautiful warm feeling, but it's still going to be very dark sounding, right? As opposed like if you had given this top line on both cellos and violas to like the second violin or first violin, you immediately hear a difference in terms of just like the ability of the melody to stand out, and have more independence and more color to it and more light, right? But as the way it is now, it's going to be just a fairly dark and unmixed sound, right? Now here, da 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 da. That could work. That's fine. It does not have to dovetail or anything like that if you do it right. And this is neat. I like this in here. And little touch of trombone. You see, this is really, I see this, this doubling here of the violas more as a bassoon or clarinet thing, right? You're asking the trombones to play along with the violas, and you can hear in your mock-up that the trombones are just really prominent, right? So in this case, I would say mark this down to pianissimo, and you've got a problem here. Trombone 1 and trombone 2, and the trombone 2 part is in the trombone 1 staff, right? There are numerous little scoring errors like that throughout here, and this feels more like a rough draft, right? Because I'm not seeing things like which horn is this? Third horn, fourth horn. You didn't mark any of the entrances and stuff, and there are things like chords in like a single string part as opposed to being spread across, right? But we'll cover those as we get to them. Yeah, but here you would, this harmony here could easily go to the second violins, right? Instead of having to play divisi or non-divisi here in the violas, right? This will have to be marked down to pianissimo to have any chance of blending with the violas, and even then it will project quite strongly. Now, trombones and violas can do doublings, but you would think that the violas would be mezzo forte and the trombones would be like P, right? And then you would get your perfect blend. And I like the alternating tuba and double bass. That's very cool. Double bass pizzicato. It just feels rather barren in here. I think the top line of the violas could easily have been second violin, and then you'd have more of spreading out across the section. And once again, trombones, in this middle register, they're quite strong. I like this little stop note. It's better to mark both, mark every, just to continue the plus, right, as opposed to just like putting it over the first note and then tying. I would mark the plus sign on over at the end of the tie, because I've seen that. That's the default that I've seen in most scores. So this beginning works pretty well if you just do some adjusting to it. All right. Now here, once again, we've got these chords. You're saying divisi and you want it muted, and this may have been the plan why you didn't use your second violins all the way up to here. But you've got plenty of time, 2 bars, boom, dun, boom, dun, dun. With today's mutes, the player has got plenty of time to just reach over and push up the little bit of rubber over onto the bridge, right? So I think that, it's about 2 seconds, tick, tick, boom. So I think that there is plenty of time for a mute change right here. For modern mute changes, if you really wanted this to be nice and soft, and that way you would spread things across the first and second violins. And because this is just really wow. I mean, looking at the complexity of what you have going on in your other instruments, and looking at this and seeing that you are like, let's say that you have a standard orchestra, okay? 18 firsts, 16 seconds. And then just like subtracting by 2, 14 violas, 12 cellos, 10 basses. All right. But let's say that you've got your 16 violins. You basically have 4 violins per voice here, okay? And they are just not going to be able to compete in any way with this. Right? It's just not enough life, not enough force here. So yeah, Now everything is going to pianissimo, and this is going to have a greater chance of blending. Okay. Now the thing I would take issue with is your jump back down rather than up. It's really easy to get this E flat on bass clarinet. Bum 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 bum. I think that works better because when you go bum 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 bum, that sort of drags down the line which is arcing upwards, right? So you have the line going bum 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 in the trumpet, finishing it up, and I thought that was really cool. This is awesome. You don't need to do this. See how you're like trading off between 1 and 2? You don't need to do it. Just give it all to the first player. But as it is, I think that if you just dovetail over right here, then that is actually going to be a cool sound. Muted trumpet dovetailing from bass clarinet on the same pitch is going to just sound awesome. Okay. Now you got this this row of portato, I guess. This row of slurred tenutos for the B flat clarinet and second clarinet, and it's just going to be very smoothly connected notes. Da 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 da. Right? It's not going to be dun 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 dun. For that, you want like slurred staccato. All right. But yeah, just you get an incredibly legato sound to your repeats when you mark slurred tenuto for winds. Just be aware of that. Okay, I love this little thing in here that you've got with the flute, and this will balance if everybody is at pianissimo. Okay, it's still not going to be very strong, especially with the trumpet coming up to double on the B flat. Okay, but it is a really cool idea. Okay, and then you just have a single first clarinet playing the melody above. Okay, and that should balance beautifully. But yeah, just fix this. You know what I mean? Okay. All right, and then once again, this is just the same takeover strategy that you had on the first page. Da 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 ba da 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 da. Okay, now this is kind of weird. First you have two voices here, and then you have one. I think what you meant was like A2 right here, right? So just mark A2 and don't worry about doing this, two voices thing. All right? Just have a single voice continuing on. I see you're coming out of second voice. You could just mark 1 period, 2 period, A2, and then just dispense with all of this, first voice, second voice stuff. It just is clearer in the context of a very simple part, right? Okay, now, getting to things that are a little bit more complex. Okay, yeah, I almost wonder whether or not you couldn't have spread this chord out over violins, both violins and viola, and had this bum bum, this little B flat octave played by the cellos. It could be up there. It doesn't really matter. It could be, the cellist can play pizzicato on a high B flat without any problem. And it's actually probably more resonant than the violas would be playing it. So anyways, I still feel like there's just so much going on here for the poor second violins. I would rather just spread it out, even if the bottom voice, the viola, was not muted and everybody else was, because, not enough time for the change. Or you could do this. You could have, I think there's even at this, there might be time for the cellos to change to mutes, or the cellos could come in and play this low voice here, and then you could leave your violas alone with the pizzicato. Okay, anyways, it's just like there's ways of thinking this out. Okay, and I love this little piccolo sustain here. It's kind of an extension of this other idea that you added. So yeah, it all works pretty good. I will say one thing, that there is just, with no staccato, no pizzicato, or anything on the on these rising figures on this on the bass line, there really is a kind of a loss of, there's a bit of inertia in there. It just doesn't really, you don't really feel the pulse in any strong way until you get to here. Now, this is really cool, by the way. Violas, pizzicato doubled by vibraphone, and it was interesting. I could not actually hear the vibraphone in the playback, and that would have been something that would have been cool to hear how your system handled it. Okay, now divisi, sul tasto, that's all good. I think that you need to think out your bowing a little bit better for your strings. See, because you have beautiful bowing right in here, bowing in pairs. I did that myself. Okay, and then here you have da da. Yeah, they're not going to want to bow that. They're going to want to bow dun 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 dun. Right, up, down, up, down, up, down, up, down, up. That's probably going to be the most natural way to bow this out. So yeah, so just watch out for things like that. Okay, horns. Just adding, every second bar. I think that that's really cool because this really is, pairs of bars. Like all of the melodic phrasing and everything is just like done in pairs, and that's a typical waltz strategy, by the way. The beautiful Blue Danube is a waltz that has melodic phrasing in pairs of bars. So continuing on, B-flat trumpet, taking over from here, the plunger mute. It's going to be very, very distant sounding and will help control the sound there. So that's kind of cool. This is kind of nice, this expansion into here. Mezzo piano, that's all good because you're on your way to something bigger. Okay, and you're controlling the French horn. Right there, it's still going to be pretty massive. I don't think you need to double this. I think you could just do fine with first and second here and just scratch this because it's going to just be really, I would say like if you really insist on having doubled horns here, pianissimo. Okay? Because, you do start to get louder and louder when you stack brass together, whereas you don't really when you have winds, like unison winds on a part. It is not necessarily louder, right? But brass are because they have a directional kind of projection. Okay, but I feel that this is fairly good. I don't know why the second bassoon has to hold. Da, 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 da. It's once again I feel a little bit of inertia from just the because there's bum 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 bum. All right, moving onwards. This is kind of fun. This octave here in the strings, and I really do like this idea. Octave, violins, and violas. It's nice to give the violin, and once again, need to work out a better bowing strategy. And this is kind of a cool thing. It's marked incorrectly here. You want to go da 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 da, right? So that would be one beam slash, not two. Right, and this is going to get the hands raised at the rehearsal, right? So just one beam slash means that you're going to have. It would be as if you had a single beam group of repeated notes, right? So one beam, not two. Okay, and this is fun. I like that. Bassoon, tuba, timpani. That's fun. Okay, just so long as everything balances out pretty well. And, everybody at Mezzo Forte here, I feel that there's just really no problem at all. And I love the piano subito right here. That was really cool. Just suddenly checking the momentum, and that made this crescendo just huge. And that is such a great idea, Christian. I just, I'm picking apart this score, but there are so many great ideas in it. It's just very, very fun. Now, here you've got trombone doubling an octave below the violins, okay? And that is one thing, I just sort of wonder how well that would work out, because the trombone, in this register is going to be very, very penetrating. So the violins and the oboe here are going to feel more just like icing above, and the trombone is really going to be what you hear here, right? It doesn't matter what, trombone can come in and play P and it's going to sound mezzo forte to everybody else. So I would say mark this pianissimo if you really want this to be a balanced sound, okay, and hope for the best. Okay, and this was nice. This push into the next page, right? And finally, we get to the Appassionato, and this is a cool place to stop for this. I think you've made all the points that you need to make, and there's nothing left but the cool down and whatever, right? So let's pick this apart. We've got first and second violin playing the melody. Okay, once again, need a better bowing strategy. So first and second violin playing high octaves here. Okay, we've got the piccolo on the top. We've got the flute on the lower voice, right, which is also doubled by oboe. Then below that, we've got the first clarinet. Now, you could easily have had like one of these instruments play octaves without losing any kind of force. Like you could have had like the second violin play divisi octaves, and it would still cover. It would cover this this lower voice on the B flat clarinet and on the B flat trumpet, right? And you might think, well, I mean, the trumpet sound is just going to completely swamp the strings. No, when you have a stack of triple octaves on the strings, you really can, it really can cut through because of all the reinforcing of each other's parts, right? I would just say here, the brass are going to be the brass, and they're going to be loud and obnoxious. So just all they need to be is forte here, okay? Especially, like, you've already taken pains here. You can see that in order to play this, the B-flat trumpet is going to have to hit the C, the high C up there. And that is a tough note. Doesn't matter what model you're playing on. So so you've marked this forte. So everybody else should be forte as well, eh? It's going to balance better that way, right? And yeah, and it was actually kind of neat because your B flat clarinet part, bass clarinet part, which really stood out hugely in the mix, which is kind of funny. This bass clarinet part is actually different from everything else, and that was really, really cool. You're kind of like you're breaking up, sort of like breaking down the harmony as like little arpeggiated triplets as you work your way down in a lower part, right? I just thought that was such a cool idea. So you got to, so I mean the marking here is fine, the mix is wrong in whatever setting you've got for your mock-up. Okay, and you provided some rhythmic counterpoint here with this dotted rhythm on the bass line. That was really, really neat. I almost wonder if you couldn't have added one more instrument to this to make this stand out a little bit more. Okay, but anyways, it doesn't really matter. All right, so our counter melody is interlocking, right? First flute, second oboe, and here you just have violas, right? I think that you could easily have done violas in octaves on the counter melody as well. And, just that way it just would blend in a little bit better. Otherwise, there's a real danger with, this much complexity of function in the winds that it will really start to sound like a wind band piece, especially with these high trumpets and so on. Just becomes more of a concert band sound than a real orchestral sound, right? And a very, very low tuba part. So yeah, kind of fun there. So look, I really, really enjoyed this. I think you showed a lot of imagination here, Christian, and I just think that it's really neat to see just this is the kind of score that really shows the variety of thought that people are putting into things. One last little thing I'll mention is the vibraphone part here. I feel this is probably going to get buried if the if the brass are really loud. This is just one more thing that is going to get buried. Okay, so yeah, so mark it fortissimo, and also be aware, this is nice with a triangle, but be aware when you do a trill on the triangle, it sounds like an old style telephone ringing. Okay, so like, here it's just going to add excitement, and it probably won't be heard that well because triangle is actually a fairly easy instrument to cover with massive orchestral texture. But yeah, but if people do hear it, they might think, they might check, they might sort of look at their neighbor to see if their cell phone has gone off. So watch out for triangle tremolos in today's context. Okay, so everything else, I would just say I just had so much fun looking at this, and it just really, all these scores are making me feel really positive about what I'm doing with the community and how people are developing and progressing, and just the sweep of imagination is I feel like I'm the person who is getting the best deal out of this orchestration challenge, and just in terms of being able to see just how incredible everything is, and how different and how imaginative all of my orchestrators are. So thank you very much. Now on to score number 6.